Hello everyone, my name is Irish Perpanes and I'll start with this part. Pilot testing the questions. After you created your questionnaire or your interview survey, you should do a pilot test because a pilot test of a questionnaire or interview survey is a procedure in which a researcher makes changes in an instrument based on feedback from a small number of individuals who complete and evaluate the instrument. The participants in the pilot test provide written comments directly on the survey, and the researcher modify or changes the survey to reflect those concerned because the pilot group provides feedback on the questionnaire or exclude them from the final sample of the study. So after you created your questionnaire, you should do a pilot test on a small individual or small individual group for you to know what are the wrongs on your questionnaire so that you can exclude them from your final study. Then the next one, so response rate is survey researchers seeks high response rate from participants in a study so that they can have confidence in generalizing the result to the population under study. When using interviewers, when using interviews, the response rate is high because individuals interviewed typically consent to the interview in advance. However, when questionnaires are used, the number of response returned will vary. It's stated in here that when you are using your no when you're using questionnaire when you're using a questionnaire, your response rate is low because you don't know how many will respond. And when you are using or when you are doing the interview face to face, then your response is high because you have the consent of the interviewer in advance. Next is response rate for mailed questionnaires. A response return rate is the percentage of questionnaire that participants return to the research. Many survey studies in leading educational journals report a response rate of 50% or better. However, this rate will fluctuate depending on proper notification, adequate follow-up procedures, respondents' interest in the study, the quality of the instrument, and use of incentives. So, for you to have, no, if you are using a mailed questionnaire and you want to have a high return rates, you should, you should do is pre-notify the participants that they will receive a questionnaire so that they will be aware and they know that they have a questionnaire to be answered. And then individual receive an introductory letter asking them to participate in the study and telling them that they will receive a survey. After you notify the participants that they will receive a questionnaire, you will send them the introductory letter asking them to participate in the study. And then in the slide, you can see a picture which is a three-phase survey administration procedure. So this is the step procedure that might be useful for a mailed questionnaire. So mail out in the first week, or the step one is mail out the original questionnaire. You send out the questionnaire to the respondents and then follow it 2 weeks later with the second questionnaire in the individual who have not responded. So you call out those who, in this step 2, is you call out those participants that you have sent that did not respond. And then in the step 3 is after another 2 weeks, send a postcard to the non-respondent reminding them to complete the questionnaire so that you can have a high rate returns in your mailed questionnaire. Then, what is response bias? Response bias occurs in survey research when responses do not accurately reflect the viewers of the sample and the population. So, for example, is the individual who return a questionnaire may not be overly negative or positive. The survey researchers monitor that they return to assess whether they display biases. We call this approach wave analysis. So, wave analysis is a procedure to check for response bias in which investigators group returns by intervals and check to see if the answers to a few select questions change from the first week to the final week in the study. However, if the response are still similar, or if their responses are still similar, then it is biased. But if it's not similar, then it's not biased. How do you construct and analyze a mailed questionnaire? Three aspects of using mailed questionnaire. A cover letter to invite participants to complete the questionnaire, the form of construction of the questionnaire, and then statistically procedure typically used to analyze data from a mailed questionnaire. So, if you plan to mail a questionnaire to an individual, you should created a cover letter, because cover letter invites participants to complete the questionnaire so that they can be aware that you will be having them to answer your questionnaire. And then the form and construction of the questionnaire is, you after you send the cover letter, you also send the questionnaire, that your constructed questionnaire, and after that is you analyze the data from a mailed questionnaire after you receive their answered questionnaire. Van Hort Grasmere 1998 self-made design questionnaire to the participants. These instruments consist of 5 parts. These 5 instruments are a cover letter, and then the second one is the close-ended questions asking participants about their background. Third is the close-ended questions addressing practices or behavior and attitude. Number 4 is open-ended questions permitting respondents to add their perception. 4. Open-ended questions permitting respondents to add their perception. And then lastly is closing instruction, thanking the participant for taking part in the study. So, what is a cover letter? The major component of a mailed questionnaire consists of a cover letter inviting the participants to take part in the study and to complete the instruments. The example is this figure 12.5, the picture on the side. As you can see, there are 5 major elements on the cover letter. The first one is the importance of participants. And the importance of participants, it encourages individuals to complete the questionnaire. They need to know why they were been sent the instrument. In the first few questions, it indicates the importance of recipients and the value of their response. It is often helpful to begin a cover letter with their statement as illustrated in the example. And then the second is purpose of the study. Include a statement stating to the point the intent or purpose of the study. This statement not only inform the participants about the nature of the study, but it is also fulfill an important informed consent. So in the purpose of the study, you will indicate the informed consent provision to identify the purpose of the study of the participant. Purpose of the study. Here in the purpose of the study, in the cover letter, you express what is the purpose of the study so that they know, or that individuals that you send this will know what is the questionnaire is all about and what is the purpose of this. The third one is assurance of confidentiality. So in this third one, you add to the cover letter that you will hide their identity, or you will inform them that this replies is confidential only for us. And then sa sponsorship, the cover letter includes the adversary name as well as the institution where Van Horn Grismer works. In addition, write the letter on letterhead stationery to add additional sponsorship. And then the lastly is completion time and returns. Add to the letter an estimate of an amount of time the survey will take to be complete and the procedure in returning the instrument to the author, so that the participants that will answer will be know that there is a deadline, so that they can't ignore this um, question that you have sent. Next is overall question construction. So after you send your cover letter, you then send your questionnaire. Questionnaire also contains open-ended items to encourage participants to elaborate on their experience and definition. And it also contains a pleasing layout with much white space between the question and use of one scale, like strongly agree or strongly disagree, for multiple questions so that participants do not repeat responses. It also includes closing instruction thanking the respondents for participating in the study. Then, data analysis of a research questionnaire. These steps describe the process typical used for analyzing mailed questionnaire data. The figure includes reporting response rate and checking for bias in responses. The researcher also descriptively reports aggregate responses to each item on the questionnaire. So, data analysis of a research questionnaire. After you send the cover letter and your questionnaire to the participants and then they reply, you analyze their answer, because this process helps to discern general pattern of responses and variation in result. How do you design and conduct an interview survey? First is stance of the interviewer. So, in this slide is when you interview someone, you should have a neutral appearance and you should not share your opinion with their answer. And also, it is important to use a positive tone of questioning so that they can have a confident, or you should also agree on their opinion so that they have a confident and they enjoy answering your questions. Training of interviewers. If you're in a group and you are a lot in a group, you should train some of your members on how to interview so that you can gather more results when all of you do an interview on a lot of individual at the same time. So training also cover potential interruption during interviews or questions interviewees might have about the interview. Problem can arise during an interview, such as when the interviewer does not ask the question in order, like the question, like instead of question 1, he proceed to question 2 and then he go back to question 1. So, and then intentionally subvert the process because of disinterest in the topic. So the interviewer take time to probe on a question because it's either he don't like also the question, so he take time to other questions, and then bring certain expectation to the interview about how the individuals will answer. So it is wrong when the interviewer say to the interviewee that I think you know the answer to this, because if you state that into your interviewer, then that interviewer will feel the pressure that she will she or he will do good in answering that question. And then when the interviewer wears a short and his interviewer is wearing a dress or a suit, it is inappropriate for the interviewer to dress so comfortably when the interview is so professional. Is disrespectful by not using names the interviewer wants to be called. In this last bullet, before we question someone, we ask on what name do they prefer to be called, and if the interviewer answer it, you should follow those and not create your own nicknames to them because it is disrespectful and unprofessional. Steps in interviewing. So, researcher gain access to the participant through a formal invitation, such as a cover letter. And then the interviewer establish a time and place if the interviewee agree to be interviewed. Then, during the interview, the survey research asks questions, indicates the response options to the questions, and record participants' answer. So the place or the pace should be comfortable for the interviewee, and when asking open-ended questions, the interviewer should write it down or record it for the future um, purposes. And then the interviewer should end it with thanking the individual for the interview and telling the participants what the next step will be in the study. And then after the interview, the researcher may want to write down the comments of the interviewee that help explain the data, such as the demeanor of the interviewer or special or specific about the situation. And then sometimes the interviewer might also record any personal feelings about the interviewer, like I felt uneasy during this interview and perhaps did not probe as much as I could have. A telephone interview guide consisting of 25 questions. Each interview lasted on average about 45 minutes, and all interviewers were audio taped. Then, 6 interviewers assisted in the process of data collection, and their training consists of demonstration and a practice interview. The researchers constructed this guide to include introductory remarks to help establish rapport and direction for the interviewers, like you introduction them the duration of the interview, what will be asked, and then clearly may mark box with instruction for each question that they review, so that each interviewer on the research team would ask the same question. So in this telephone interviewer, we have assistants. Someone will talk to the interviewer and someone will guide the interviewer on what question next to ask in the interviewee. And then the third is the close-ended response option for each questions, with space between questions permitting the writers to write additional comments. And then fourth is numbers in parentheses to indicate the column number for coding and response into a data grid of a computer file for statistical analysis. So this is the figure on or the sample of telephone interviewer. So they box the questions and then they put number on the side, which is mentioned here in the fourth bullet, that number in parentheses to indicate the column number for coding the response into a data grid of a computer file for statistical analysis. That's all. Thank you.